Hello ladies, gentlemen and others, my name is Dan, the voice behind that Kaito Dan, and welcome to my news breakdown of the second RWBY panel at RTX, RWBY Beyond, where it's all about the side projects and spin-off stuff regarding the RWBY franchise. But if you want to see more of the main series stuff, I did a breakdown of the main RWBY panel just recently, which you can check out in the description down below and in the card above. Also, once again, sorry if I sound a bit rough, I'm still shaking off a bit of a sick spell going on with me, and sorry if I ramble a lot in this video. Thankfully, I did take a lot more notes than the original video for the main panel. The first thing on the docket was the upcoming book from E.C. Myers, RWBY Roman Holiday, which is of course going to be our feature on the partners in crime, the devious smooth criminals that roam the streets of Vale, and have now expanded somewhat into the rest of the world, Roman and Neo, who got some pretty cool artwork, by the way, for this, done by Courtney Brennick, which you can see on screen right now. And this is, of course, coming in about 2 months' time, so be on the lookout for that. In terms of some of the background details behind this, this is going to be an exploration of the origin of these two characters, how they first came together, maybe a bit more on their background. We did hear a little bit of mention that Neo's childhood is going to be explored in this, which is going to be very interesting, as well as some of the series of lessons that they had to learn that made them the characters that we knew later on in the events of the main timeline. So that's exciting to see what created these personalities, these mindsets, especially in regards to like Torchwick and his needing to lie, cheat, steal, and survive. And of course Neo seemingly coming from money and ended up in the criminal underworld of Vale. And again, in terms of a little bit of the background behind this book, narratively, Miles, Kerry, Eddie, and Myers, they wanted to turn away from doing another book set in Vacuo with Team Coffee and Team Sun following the events of Volume 8. Of course, spoiler alert, we of course ended that volume, many of the characters ending up in Vacuo. But again, they wanted to turn our attention away from there just a little bit to build up some more suspense for when we next arrive there. EC, he wanted to work on, he did want to do a Team Stark story, like I'm sure many of us would like to see, but for one reason or another, that's not happening just yet maybe. But instead, he also wanted to work on a Roman and Neo story, so this is a big success for him, being able to finally bring that to light. Though we did say he does have unfinished business with Team Sun specifically, so maybe in the future we will get another novel set with Team Sun and maybe Team Coffee as well. But again, the events of Volume 8's ending kind of decided a change in focus for a more standalone story, a prequel to some of the mainline present events. In fact, this is also going to lean a bit more into sort of that young adult style of novels, so we're probably going to be getting a bit more of the teen-focused kind of contents, like maybe a bit more some violence, a bit more focus on some of the darker edges of RWBY, which fits in with the underground that you would expect of a criminal lifestyle. And the fact that, of course, as much as we like these two characters, they are kind of criminals, bad people, and Neo especially is a bit of a killer. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of that young adult, maybe kind of darker edges to the story that we haven't had in some of the other novels. There will be some references and perhaps a few old faces from past volumes, and there's also perhaps maybe going to be some more connecting elements to not specifically like major things shown off in Chibi, but maybe like a few winks and nods. Like for those of you who had read Before the Dawn, there was a little bit of a reference to the mustaches of Sun and Neptune when they go into their junior detective sorts. So maybe we'll get a few more references like that. But yeah, we could be seeing a few more familiar faces, like maybe Junior and the Malachite twins, since they're of course very ingrained in some of the criminal undergoings of Vale. So yeah, that could be exciting for those of you who are looking forward to seeing a bit more about those characters, even just for like small appearances. So yeah, I'm very excited for this book. I love the previous 2 books for Myers, and getting to finally get some insight on Roman and Neo's past before they became the characters that we know and love is very, very enticing, and I can't wait to get into that. So yeah, be on the lookout for that coming sometime within the next 2 months, dates on screen. And yeah, that was the first little bit of details that we got from this panel. The other big project of discussion in this panel is of course the now revealed RWBY Arrowfall game, made by WayForward alongside Arc System Works. And yeah, we got some more details there on top of some of the other stuff that we had in the initial panel, like the delay unfortunately to 2022, which is again understandable in the current climate. The fact that it's going to be a bit of a Metroidvania game with a mixture of platforming, RPG crafting elements, and of course the traditional fighting game-ish sort of combat that RWBY is known for. And this is a chance for them to explore a bit of the time with Team RWBY as pro huntsmen, and a bit more of Atlas that we didn't really get to explore a great deal of because of events transpiring pretty soon afterwards. Again, this is that period of time where they have just become pro huntsmen and they're going off onto some missions, and eventually they'll come across some familiar faces like the Aesops. They will all be coming back, so we'll get some more with Clover and the rest of the team. Hopefully we'll maybe get some more with Penny and Winter. Ironwood's also confirmed to appear. Maybe we'll also see some appearances from Jean, Ren, and Nora while they're doing their own missions, perhaps. But it's cool that we're going to get to see most of the major cast that we were known for in Atlas. And there might be a chance for some other characters that we maybe didn't see much of during our time in Atlas. Because there was apparently a bit of a wish list that they made in the making of this. So maybe those of us who have been wanting CL Soleil to make a return, this might be her time to shine. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. They also talked a bit about the visual style. And as you can see on screen, we got a look at some of the back and forth on what they wanted the visual style to look like. With some looks at the RWBY model that they had, which ironically enough, it seems like the WayForward team, they wanted to build something closer to the look of traditional RWBY as seen in some of the left-hand shots, while the Crewbie would actually kind of like to lean more towards the WayForward style. So ironically, either side wanted the style of the other sides, which kind of led us to what seems to be the middle combined effort, which is leaning to a mixture of both the WayForward style and the traditional RWBY style, which I think really looks good. I think that alongside the 2D full body shots that we're going to see in the talk-heavy cutscenes, which will be very much like the Shantae games where they have different expressions. I think that's a good way to blend the two together, and they talked a lot about how WayForward really tries to really make their strength in 2D animation, so this feels right in their ballpark, and again, it just looks really, really damn cute and very stylish, which I'm looking forward to seeing in action. We also got a little bit of the exploration in terms of the background design, which looks fantastic. Again, working off the 2D style, but they're also making sure that there is some depth to the background, so it feels stylized and very visually eye-catching, but they still feel like they're very interactable even on a 2D plane, which looks fantastic. We also got some of these shots here in terms of some of the early exploration and work-in-progress combat. Again, this is very pre-alpha, the footage that they did show in the trailer, so what we see here might not be the finished product. But interestingly enough, I noticed in these shots we see RWBY going up against some of the Grimm, like an Alpha Beowulf, the Ice Guys that was seen in the second episode of Volume 7, and we also see some Atlas drones, which could be playing off with some of the footage in the trailer of Schnee Dust Company soldiers being some of the enemies that Team RWBY were facing. So maybe there's going to be some corrupted or like bought out SDC soldiers and robots used by the enemy side, which we'll get into in a bit. And then there's also this shot in the top left that shows Yang punching out a White Fang soldier. So we could be seeing a bit of how the White Fang play into Atlas. What are they like now following the end of Sienna Khan and Adam's reign? Is there going to be like a splinter faction of White Fang who are still doing their own thing in the midst of Atlas? I know a lot of people did complain that there wasn't a big focus on the Faunus element in Atlas, especially because of Atlas being like the home center for a lot of the Faunus and human racism issues. So hopefully we'll get to explore a little bit about what is the state of the White Fang in Atlas through this game, which I'm very excited to see, along with some new Grim. Here we see the new Razorwing Grim, which kind of looks like a mixture of the Nevermore and Griffin, but obviously maybe a bit more leaning into like a Grimified Eagle, which looks pretty damn freaky. And you can see as well like how it transitions from the left in the traditional RWBY style to the more stylized version that we're going to see in the game. So yeah, this looks really damn cool. Again, it's all pre-alpha, so what we see might not be how it looks in the finished version, but it still looks really damn cool. So at the end of the initial trailer, we saw 3 new characters from a brand new team that is going to be sort of, it seems like our enemy rival team for this game, and that is Team BRIR, or as now officially revealed, Team Briar. The blondie here seems to be the one known as Bianca. Then we have, hope I get this right, Rowan, and then Ivy, who wasn't seen in the teaser trailer, but is first seen here. And then there's Ruda. So, fun fact, I actually was talking on Twitter about speculations on these characters' names, and I did guess that Ivy was gonna be one of these characters, but I thought it would be the blonde character. But nope, it turns out it seems to be the brunette here in the 3rd slot, and Bianca, the one that was mentioned in the trailer, is the one that we saw in that final shot, and is the team leader. And I really love all their designs. I love the fact that they all have a shared theme of like spikes on their clothes, which, by the way, a Briar is like a big bush of like spiky flowers, so that fits in great there. And I really do love their designs. They could seem to be having like an elemental element to their weaponry, because in the trailer it looked like Rowan had a flamethrower. Bianca, we didn't see a weapon for, but she kind of screams like an ice user. And then Ruda is, with her drills, very much a ground user. So maybe each of these girls will be masters of a specific type of dust. But yeah, I really love these designs. I think out of my favorite, it's probably Rowan, because I love like the very diva-ish kind of style, but I also kind of like Ruda's kind of spunkiness, especially with the face paint. And I'm very excited to see what these characters are like and how they interact with our main cast. Apparently, RWBY has a rather unique reaction to them. I think she'll probably, I don't know, maybe she'll geek out seeing them. Apparently, as well, they're also not from Atlas, which, yeah, I think the fact that they're not dressed for the snow makes sense for the fact that they're not from Atlas. Maybe they're from Vacuo, or from Mistral, perhaps. Vacuo might make more sense because of the tension between Vacuo and Atlas, and if they're doing something that might harm the kingdom, it makes sense for them to perhaps be someone who's not exactly fond of the Northern Kingdom. But yeah, that's it in terms of Arrowfall news. Again, we'll get more news on the game as the months go on up until release, as well as whenever we get a release date, so be on the lookout for that. I'll be sure to share any information when they drop. And then we moved on to some of the various other side projects and merchandise stuff that wasn't revealed, or maybe has been revealed in the past, that gets a little bit of more feature here. Like, for instance, the upcoming Juniper Anthology, which is coming this month, only like a few days away. And this is, of course, the anthology that is made by fans, for fans, with various faces from the fan artist community, like Keith Montalvo, Mikururan, various popular artists in the community. They all worked on this alongside various people from all over the world, so it's a very worldwide project, bringing this favored B team of ours into the anthology scene, so be sure to check that out physically and digitally wherever books are sold. And then we moved on to some merchandise stuff, which a new batch of D&D themed clothes and items, including a Juniper and a Huntress Quest tee, the Remnant Quest style, as well as a Remnant Quest hoodie with RWBY dice on the front and a D&D style pattern on the back, which looks really damn cool. I'm probably gonna get that Juniper shirt because it looks so damn sick. If you get a close-up as well, you can actually see that the Juniper attires have been sort of tweaked a little to fit more of the traditional fantasy style, which I think is a nice touch there as well. And then, of course, the last thing seen on here is a dice tray and dice set with an embroidered bag as well. So if you're into D&D, like I know many people are, and you want to have a little bit of a RWBY flair to it, then this might be right up your alley. And at the same time, I also want to give a little shout out to RWBY Grim Campaign, sorry. Make sure you go watch that. It's a ton of fun, even if you're not big into D&D like I am. It's a lot of fun to watch that. And they've also got a panel coming up soon, so I'll leave the date for that on screen here. So be sure to check that out when they do a live playthrough of some Grim Campaign action. On the figure front, we got another mention of the Good Smile Company Yang figure that is going to be having her pre-orders out very, very soon, so you can get the full Team RWBY set there, and as well the mention of the Nendoroid, so if you want those, be sure to check those out. But in terms of some new RWBY figures, via Bam Presto, the time skip era Team RWBY Q Posket figures, which are apparently a brand of crane game figures that are very popular in Japan, and they're going to be coming our way. We only saw like the work in progress version so far, so we don't have the full colors for them yet, but it's cool that we're going to be seeing the original time skip costumes in a new figure format, which looks very pretty as well. Then next up, in some card game news, Team RWBY, the whole RWBY series in fact, is going to be coming to Weiss Schwarz, which is a very popular Japanese collectible card game that features various, and I mean various, different medias and franchises out there. Like I'm talking Angel Beats, the Fate series, Konosuba, the Love Live franchise, Persona, like Red rewrites, like Idolmaster. Like if you can think of an anime, like even like Clanad, again, it's like if you think of like a popular anime or like a cartoon or like a video game series, they've probably been featured in this card game. So if you want to get some RWBY cards for this, the trial deck and booster pack are coming very, very soon. From what I can see from Weiss Schwarz, which admittedly this is the first time I'm probably hearing of the card game, it's sort of like, again, your traditional card game battle system where you're just fighting a different opponent with these cards. And I guess, in a sense, you're using various characters from anime, games, and what have you as the monsters, which looks really cool. And the fact that we're seeing RWBY featured alongside, again, many popular series like, again, Persona, Sword Art Online, Clanad, Love Live, the Fate series, what have you, is fantastic stuff to see RWBY still featured alongside many of these popular series. And yeah, that looks really cool. If you're into card games, be sure to check that out. Hopefully you won't get scalped like all the goddamn Pokemon cards, but hey, you never know. And then finally, in terms of like the big featured stuff, the winners for the Volume 8 Fan Forge Challenge from For Fans by Fans, the winners, they will be announced very soon. So be sure to follow the For Fans social medias to see. This is your chance to find out. So again, the winners will be announced very, very soon. And yeah, that was sort of like the last big thing mentioned there. Two little random things, I guess, in terms of the Q&A segment at the end. Someone asked, do you ever think of doing a RWBY movie for the series? Which they kind of lightly said, yep. but I think that's just in terms of like they've thrown the idea around, and that's not like any confirmation that we will get a RWBY movie, just maybe a very, very light possibility further on down the line. But, I mean, hey, we've already got the RWBY Oscars, so why not get a RWBY movie? I'm just saying. And then one last thing, I guess. They've talked about how they've had several partners and like come to them and ask, oh, can we use RWBY for this? Can we do something with RWBY here? And vice versa. And apparently, some people have been asking if we could do RWBY body pillows, which have been shot down. So, if you were hoping for some official RWBY body pillows, rip the dream, I guess. But yeah, that, and again, one last note, mention of people wanting RWBY in Fortnite, hashtag RWBY Fortnite. Yeah, that is it. This was a very cool extra panel on top of the main one, just to get a little bit more insight on some of these side projects, like again, the RWBY Arrowfall stuff, Roman Holiday, all the new merchandise stuff is looking fantastic. I really do love the D&D theme style stuff. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. Again, make sure you go and check out all the stuff that was shown. Please go grab that Juniper anthology from all the fans that worked on it. It is a big project, and I know a lot of people in this, and this is something that they're really, really passionate about. But again, on top of that, with everything with Arrowfall, Roman Holiday, the merchandise, all that stuff, the new figures, the card game, there's just so much to enjoy about RWBY. But from this panel, what was your biggest takeaway? What are you most excited about? And also, maybe throw in an idea of what you would like to see as future merchandise, and who knows, maybe a RWBY member will see that. But while you're down there leaving a comment, please hit the subscribe and bell buttons and tick the notification box to make sure you get every new video from me as they drop, and follow me on Twitter at @ThatKaitoDan for more on anything to do with RWBY, updates on the channel, and more. But until next time, have a good day or a good night, and peace out.